It's not a good morning. Yes, I'm not saying good morning. It's not a good morning. We're beginning to learn more about what happened on Sunday night in Commodore in northern St. Catherine. And on learning more, the severity of what took place is coming home. For those of you on our YouTube channel, I'm going to put up a photograph of the 4-year-old girl, Shannon Gordon, who those savages turned a gun on. There she is. Now, what a sweet little girl. And they turned their guns on that little girl. You know, when we report crimes, we sometimes fall into the trap of thinking that, listen, it's another murder in Jamaica. You know, killing fields. Until you hear the personal stories. And that's how I want to start this morning, to bring it home to us. 4 years old. No, such an angel. Huh? Shannon Gordon. You have been hearing the name since yesterday morning. Now you have a face. And as it is being rightly described, it's terror that was visited upon the people of Commodore on Sunday night. For whatever reason, it's a very little moment now. But when you turn high-powered weapons, rifles, on defenseless people who had absolutely no chance, you're not only a savage, but you're a coward. Her grandmother, grandaunt it was, who said to the Observer this morning, those killers have to pay. Grandmama, 4-year-old girl, slain in mass shooting, prays for swift justice. The Gleaner, this is the front page of the Observer. Those killers have to pay. Yeah? The Gleaner's front page, act of terror. Wholeness decries mass shooting in St. Catherine community. Yeah? But the aspect of the story that has me this morning is this 4-year-old girl, Shannon. Lovely, lovely girl. Her life snuffed out far too early. The Minister of National Security, or the Ministry of National Security and Peace, has announced a $2 million reward for any information leading to the arrest and charge of the savages who carried out that attack on Commodore on Sunday night. $2 million. And if you know anything about it, you now have an added incentive, because with or without the $2 million, yes, if you know anything about who they are, you should report it. Yes? And they were very well organized. They were apparently dressed in police attire. After 10 Sunday night and pounced upon the people there. Yeah? They were at a shop. The shop was next door to their home. You can put up that picture again for me, the video of the shop next door. The house where they lived. You know? They were gathered at the shop. Yeah, 9 of them were shot. We're now learning also that a dog was also killed. Yeah? And the Prime Minister, there's a shop next door to the house, if you're on our YouTube channel. A house painted in yellow. There's a shop also. Is that yellow and red or dark brown? Yeah. The Prime Minister has called on the police to closely monitor the community. Yes? Here's what the Prime Minister said.
We have seen this before. Not so long ago, we saw Cherry Tree Lane, where I visited, and from what I have told and what I have seen, I don't want to speak too much on the operational issues. That's the remit of the police. But it would appear to me that the circumstances are similar, and there are things that we would have learned from the Cherry Tree Lane incident, and one of them is to prevent reprisals. And I'm certain that the police will be acting in such a way to ensure that there are no reprisals, or to prevent them as much as possible, and to be proactive in ensuring that there is a proper security presence and cordon in the area to protect the citizens here and to prevent any retaliation coming from outside or even from inside going out.
The Prime Minister described it as criminal terror. Yes, he visited there yesterday, and he also says the police will maintain a long-term presence in Commodore.
The second thing that we have learned is that whatever we do as a security response must have endurance. So the criminals, sometimes they will go and hide, and as the Commissioner said, they have safe haven and people protect them and surround them, and then they wait and then they come back. That would be a fatal error on their part, because what we have built into the security forces is endurance. So they will stay in the community, they will maintain a long-term presence, and they will not just wait out the criminals, they will actively seek the criminals.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness. And in pursuit of their initiatives, the police have imposed a 48-hour curfew in 3 communities in the area: Commodore itself, Trinity, and Banbury. The curfew began at 6 yesterday evening and is due to continue until 6 tomorrow evening. Yes? And we heard from the Minister of National Security and Peace, the Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Horace Jang, last evening, that it is believed a reprisal attack in an ongoing gang feud, yes, was behind what took place on Sunday night.
So the brief you've gotten so far is that this is a reprisal attack?
Element is a inter-gang, and elements of reprisal are in it in the community. The specific person that there seems to have been a long-standing activity out of the community, and they decided to go at the family members out here, which is one of what raises deep concern, not only from a security seat, but from the concerns I used to represent. When they begin to attack family members, the trauma is far more severe, and the challenge to police also more difficult.
So, badman, gunman, criminals have problems with each other, and they decide that they're going to exact revenge on the family members. Yeah? Dr. Chang says the police know some of those who may have been responsible for the deadly attack.
Any suspects so far?
The police have, but I won't go into that now. So they're briefing. They've gotten some good intel work, and they're working at it 24/7. Several. The entire Area 5 team was out there, and they brought in supporting elements from outside of the area to do the interrogation, questioning, and look at all the connections. I would now do to see where there might have been where the other gangs would be from, who they relate to, who have relationship and conflicts in the area. In fact, the police now have a very effective monitoring system, a mapping program where they map all conflicts.
Dr. Horace Chang. Well, after the break, who is Toots? Who is Toots? Not the musician. Not the musician. Toots is a gangster. Yeah? We'll tell you about Toots after the break. Toots. Not the musician. Well, we're learning thanks to the Observer this morning. It has a story on page 6. Toots nabbed. Alleged female gang leader. Top cronies in police custody. A female gang leader. And the Observer is reporting that the St. James Police on Monday announced they have taken into custody a woman who they believe leads a gang of robbers that has left a swathe of victims across Jamaica. Cops say the woman, known by the moniker Toots, and a number of her top cronies, was nabbed days after the October 1 launch of Operation Endgame, which has been yielding positive results. On Sunday, October 5, about 7:30 p.m., Toots and 6 men from the robbery syndicate were arrested at Dome Lane, Montego Bay, following 2 robberies in the township, Superintendent Linroy Edwards told the Observer. "We are feeling very happy and accomplished to make such a significant dent in the gang, even though we had already arrested several members of the gang, and one was shot and killed during a confrontation with the police," he added. According to Superintendent Edwards, the size of the criminal syndicate meant it initially continued to operate, even after cops made a number of arrests. However, the nabbing of Toots is seen as a major breakthrough that is expected to cripple the gang. She was a leader. "We had to be tweaking our strategies, which culminated in the arrest of this very dangerous female gang leader and her main lieutenants yesterday. This is something for us to really celebrate as a police division," he said proudly. Toots came to national prominence last week when the St. James Police, during a press conference, declared her involvement in a series of crimes. Cops linked the gangsters to robberies at several business establishments operated by Chinese individuals in the Western City. They vowed to dismantle the gang, and that action was backed up on Sunday evening. The Toyota Axio used in the robbery was also seized, as were several assorted rounds of ammunition, ski masks, and several items including cellular phones that were suspected to have been stolen earlier. There's no word yet on when charges will be laid or the court dates for Toots and her henchmen, but the police are hailing Sunday's arrests, along with the previous arrest and charging of 10 people cops say are linked to the same gang, as a major win. We know of gang leaders as in men, but now we're learning that a woman. Talk about equality. Equality. So we now have female gang leaders, which is a rarity in Jamaica. We have had some isolated cases of women being involved in the leadership role of gangs. You remember that trial out in Spanish Town, the Klansman gang trial. And the role of, what was her name, Nora? Muma? Muma was her name, who wielded the badmanship and the criminality in one hand and waved her Bible in the next. Yeah. God-fearing Christian. But she was nothing but a criminal. Still on matters to do with crime and the courts. Today, the long-awaited trial of the former Education Minister Ruel Reid and former President of the Caribbean Maritime University, President Fritz Pinnock, is set to begin. Let me read from the Observer again this morning. After a forced delay on Monday because of the absence of Senior Parish Judge Vaughan Facey, the trial of former Education Minister Ruel Reid, former Caribbean Maritime University President Fritz Pinnock, and their three co-accused will return to court today as their multi-million-dollar fraud trial gets underway. Yes? Opening statements are slated to be heard when the trial begins, with the prosecutors indicating one witness could be called. During Monday's proceedings, prosecutors and Pinnock's attorney Hugh Wildman clashed regarding a request from the Crown to keep the names of the witnesses out of the media. Really? The Crown said that nearly 100 witnesses are expected to be called during the trial. Prosecutors indicated that the request was made in the interest of the witnesses' safety. However, Wildman objected immediately, citing what he described as a violation of the country's constitution. This is an unacceptable request, said Wildman. It is not a gun court case. This is an open case where any member of the public can come in and listen to the witness. We submit that no such order should be made. In response, the substitute judge expressed caution, arguing that the granting of such a request could unintentionally color the case. He requested that the prosecutors return on Tuesday with relevant case material to prove the authority to support the request. So that is a big one, which I'm sure the public will be following closely. Yeah. Earlier, it was last week, we heard the story of a man who escaped from the custody of the police by breaking free, from them and Indicom personnel when his handcuffs were removed for him to sign a statement to be submitted to Indicom. He somehow escaped. Well, the news this morning is that he has turned himself in. He's 29-year-old Herbie Jr. Ballantyne of Fraserwood Highgate, in St. Mary. All right. Parliament begins today. The new parliamentary term begins today. And we're all anticipating what a parliament it is going to be. What kind of parliament it's going to be. It's now 35-28. That's a majority of 7. A big contrast to the previous parliament, which was lopsided 49-14. That was a majority of 35. Now that is down to 7. The opposition numbers have doubled from 14 to 28. And we look forward to what kind of parliament it is going to be. Well, today there's going to be, among other items, the tabling of a report by the Integrity Commission into alleged conflicts of interest involving the Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, the Ministry of Health, and the public relations firm Market Me. That is expected to be tabled in the House this afternoon. And I gather it's one of about 3 or 4 reports from the Integrity Commission that is now in the possession of the leaders of the Parliament and will be tabled shortly. We understand that the Tufton Market Me report examines whether Tufton used his power as minister to direct the ministry to award contracts to Market Me. It's also understood that the report examines the relationship between Dr. Tufton and one of the principals of Market Me, and whether that relationship had a bearing on the award of contracts to the company. Yeah. That report, I gather, is being watched closely because of the suspicions, the rumors over a number of years about the connection between the principal of Market Me and Tufton. Well, that is to come later today. You can listen to the news at 5 to hear what they have found and the seriousness of that.